All right, here we go. Listing time. We haven't done
Summer,
this in a little
summer in the
while.
pod. Summer in the
Yeah,
pod.
summer in the pod. That's right. Although the pod here in the background seems a bit balmy. It looks
Oh
it's like pretty hot. It's like a sauna there in the football lounge
yeah,
on your
sweat.
screen today.
I'm sweating in it too. I refuse to turn the AC on yet. Right now, it's like 85 degrees. I got the windows open.
Oh, there you go. Hey, but, I mean, you got to take advantage of that while you can in
Pinching pennies here in
Chicago.
Illinois, my friend.
Yeah, no doubt. Um, well, we've got our first official list that it's summer and the spring and the off season in general when we're doing lists because 'tis the season, as they say. But yeah, you brought this idea to the forefront. I think it's really good, and this is going to be kind of a part of our summer series, if you will. As we, obviously we're gonna bring a lot of breaking news to our shows continually as they come throughout the weeks here, but to kind of help build out that content a little bit, we're gonna go down the rabbit holes of the best and the worst in the league at the respective positions, and what better way to kick things off than start with the quarterback position, the most important
Oh yeah.
here, Mark.
I think what's fun about this is the 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 top is the top for certain of these lists are going to be hotly debated, obviously. But the lowest is also, I think, really interesting for
Yeah,
you,
that's
our
probably going to be
listeners,
the most
to get
interesting.
an idea of how we feel about certain things. And it's also a chance for us to then, we have to be held accountable. Like, because if we put someone in the lowest and they have a killer year, that's what you guys will do. You'll remind us about it and you screenshot it and you call us out for it. I just think this is, it's just a different version. We can talk about more guys than just doing a top four. We're gonna give you, and listen, even the 32nd worst, the starting wide receiver number one is still a wide receiver number one. So like when we debate that, it's going to be interesting to see where we land on some of that stuff. So I think the quarterbacks
Sure.
will really kind of set this format for our viewers, and then as we go throughout other position groups and coaching and teams or whatever it might be, I think the viewers will really get what we're getting at, and you can play along with us too.
Yeah, this might actually be the one where we have the least contention among our lists because there are so many wide receivers to talk about. There's so many running backs, whereas quarterbacks, at least the top, we may have a difference of like one, but I think that it's going to be pretty uniform. And then bottom five, though, will be an interesting discussion nonetheless. As we dive in, just a quick announcement and reminder that we are a part of the For Frequency Sake podcast network, and our annual Toys for Tots leagues
Let's
are
go.
beginning to ramp up. So be sure to check out forfantasysaqc.com. Check out the For Fantasy Sake social handles as well as ours at FB Lounge Pod. For more information on signing up, we want to get as many people involved in as many teams as possible. A couple hundred teams last year, so we are well into this thing and raised thousands of dollars for our local Toys for Tots over by Mark there in the Quincy area, by myself in South Carolina, and then the Quad Cities, of course, where the headquarters of For Frequency Sake lives. So we're hoping to raise even more money this year, continue to see this thing grow, and so can't do that without the listeners, the viewers, participation. So excited to get that going. And this year, I believe Mark and I will be hosting our own teams. So you'll be able to kind of pick which teams you compete on as well. So that'll be, or leagues, I should say. So that'll be fun too. So excited to get that going. All right, let's dive in, Mark. Do you want to start with the top five, since that's probably going to be the easiest to go through? Let's do it. What you got?
Let's do it. At number one for the top five of the highest ranked quarterbacks in the NFL, I have Patrick Mahomes at number one. I have defending MVP Josh Allen at number two. I put Joe Burrow at three because I still think when it comes down to the position of quarterback and playing the position of quarterback, it's not fair that Joe Burrow plays for the Bengals, Lamar plays for the Ravens, right? And one organization supports the team and the player in a different way. I take Joe Burrow in the slightest of slights over Lamar Jackson, who is at number four. And at number 5, I think this is a real hot debate. So I'm really excited to see where you land on this. I have the Super Bowl champion Jalen Hurts at number 5. I think it's fair enough for me to sit here and go, Jalen Hurts is elevated above some of those other guys who I think maybe more purely talented at playing the position. But I think Jalen Hurts has a ton of intangibles, and his running and the tush push doesn't work just because the offensive line. Jalen Hurts is one of the main reasons why the tush push is the tush push. He's a unique athlete that I think would be successful in a lot of situations, in a lot of places, and is an athlete. You know what I mean? I look at some of the other names I was considering for this 5 spot, and I thought, you know what? Jalen Hurts in his first Super Bowl run outplayed Mahomes, but just had a really bad fumble. In his second Super Bowl run, he won the Super Bowl and was no, I know he wasn't putting up 400 yards and 4 touchdowns a game, but Jalen Hurts is a special cat, and I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and put him at 5 for this year. So there you go, Dan. There's my top 5. Where you at?
I love it. We are in lockstep, my
Let's
friend.
go. Let's
exactly the same 5. So
the
that's
lounge. The lounge.
that's good. That's right. The football lounge lives on. You can book it. Yeah, man. I mean, for a lot of the same reasons, I absolutely agree with you. Patrick Mahomes is the GOAT. I know he just lost the Super Bowl. I know that he, is now removed a couple years from an MVP. But he is the best quarterback in the league all around, no question. And I really don't think there's much of a debate. I've seen actually a lot of lists. So after I made my lists, I went and kind of saw what were some people ranking in the offseason. I'm curious like how mine stacks up to theirs. And a lot of people had Josh Allen 4th, 3rd.
Yeah, I saw some of that
didn't see
too.
much
Pro
of
Football
Josh Allen
Focus had Josh Allen 4th, I think, in their ranking.
It's bizarre to me. Now I get it. Their rankings are solely based, it seems, off of what their grades were that they had. But it's hard to say that a guy who just won an MVP and doesn't enter next year is at least the top 2 quarterback. The biggest difference for a lot of people probably is like Joe Burrow versus Lamar Jackson, and I just think Lamar has faltered enough times in the postseason to where there are significant questions about his ability to get over the hump in those big moments. He's an incredible player. He's had plenty of clutch moments. I'm not trying to deny
He's a
that.
first ballot Hall of Famer at this point. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yes, absolutely. But there, you got to be able to prove that you can rise to the occasion in the most pivotal moments. More often than not. Now, Joe Burrow has had way less of a supporting cast, there's no doubt. And he has still been able to be a guy that elevated and made it to a Super Bowl and beat out Patrick Mahomes and had that deep playoff run that was difficult and got to the Super Bowl. So that's what puts him there. And he's a better pure passer. There's no question about that. Jalen Hurts is probably another, I wouldn't say controversial, but it's one of those where I don't know how many lists he would make in the top 5. But for us, I think he's just got those leadership intangibles that you want in the NFL. And if I'm just thinking about 5 quarterbacks that I would want starting my team if we just started from scratch, which is an interesting thing because we'll eventually try and introduce a fantasy draft.
Yeah.
He's a guy that would be there in the top 5 for me if I'm picking. And so it's the rushing ability. It's the stability as well. I mean, he is a very durable guy so far in his NFL career. And I think that's something that's important. He's made it to 2 Super Bowls. He's won 1 and beat the best. So you got to give the guy his flowers. And I think he's more than deserving of that nod there at number 5.
So really quickly, I wrote a couple names down for just like who I would consider floating around. So at like 6 or like 5. And I would hear the argument for them. And those names would be Stafford, Herbert, Jane Daniels, CJ Stroud. Those are the 4 names that I'm like, okay, if you floated those names around, I'll listen to your argument for why they should be 5. But I'm going to still choose Hurts over those guys. So is there anyone else you want to add to that, or do you disagree with any of those names?
No, I don't necessarily disagree. I mean, I had Stafford and Jaden Daniels as like my poking in at the outside, kind of peeking in
Yeah.
type of players. But there's a clear tier difference. Now, maybe Jaden, if I see another year like we saw last year, and we see maybe a little bit of the next step, then I'd say, okay, he is on the same like playing field as Hurts, and dare I say, even like pushing into the Lamar territory. But right now, there's like a clear delineation. Like Mahomes isn't as standalone number one as maybe he used to be. I think Josh Allen has a case now. But Mahomes is still in his own tier. Josh Allen probably in his own. And I think Burrow and Lamar are kind of there at 3. Hurts is still a deep tier, next tier after that.
Yeah.
But he's so clear ahead of the Staffords and the Daniels currently, in my view, that it would get.
I'm with you. So my thing with Jaden Daniels is I put him and Stroud almost they are exactly in the same spot because I have Stroud's rookie year versus Daniels rookie year. They're like almost equal, right? Those are phenomenal rookie years. Stroud, we saw a not disaster sophomore year, but it certainly was a comeback down towards the mean sophomore year.
Yeah.
So for Daniels, he has an opportunity to elevate over Stroud. And I would argue Stroud has an opportunity still to elevate over Daniels. But right now, I would just put them in the exact same spot.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's fair.
And if you told me this year, like this upcoming year, you need a quarterback and R5 are off the board, I would go Stafford over probably the other 3 that I mentioned. For just this year. It's like, hey, this year you need a quarterback.
And that's where I think I would take Stafford like over Stroud, in that ranking, but I wouldn't fight that too hard. I mean, Stroud is definitely like in that ballpark.
Talented kid. Very talented kid.
And I would love to be able to put Herbert there, but it's just like it's tough when the production hasn't necessarily been there. But yeah,
he's in the discussion.
He may get there. He's got the talent.
Because him and Trevor Lawrence are so similar in like, if you were to just tell AI, build me the best quarterback, they would probably poop out Herbert and Lawrence. Like, dude, 6'5", giant arms, absolutely ripped, sneaky good, athletic.
Yeah.
And then it's like, why are they not Josh Allen? Why are they not producing at a level of like Brady or someone? Well, it's like
durability for Trevor has been the problem,
and for Herbert, it's that off-speed pitch. It's like, where is that? Like, you're able to just kind of manipulate the dinks and dunks and manipulate the game in that way. So
yeah,
I think there's more confusion in 8 through 20 in the world of quarterback play than there is certainty. It's crazy, dude. 8 to 20 is wild. That's why I'm really fascinated by what you're going to put at the bottom, because I think there's a clear bottom starting quarterbacks here. And I can start with my list if you want, and we can go from there, right?
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, that works.
At number 32, Rattler / Shuck, whoever starts for the New Orleans Saints. That's bad. I don't have any faith in Spencer Rattler, and I think Shuck could be something, but again, he's a 3rd round rookie. So I'm gonna benefit of the doubt. I'm gonna put them last. At number 31, and this is an asterisk, but it's the name. It's as of right now on the sheets. It's Mason Rudolph. I put Mason Rudolph at 31. If that becomes Aaron Rodgers, the Steelers are not near the bottom 5 at all. Okay. So I actually have a 27th to sub in case that happens. Okay. Just slot everything down. But otherwise, I'm going to go at number 30. This I think might shock people. But I have nothing as far as NFL tape to base this on. And the only thing I know so far with this person is they suffered a bad knee injury on a very routine run out of bounds. And that's J.J. McCarthy. I have McCarthy at 30.
Okay.
I think McCarthy's got talent. I trust Kevin O'Connell, but I'm going to be safe than sorry. I'm going to put him at 30. Number 29, Anthony Richardson / Daniel Jones. Whatever, either one doesn't matter, but I'll go Richardson. Number 28 in my true bottom 5, the Browns. So If it's Flacco, I think that's why it's 28. Because I would start the season, if you told me you have to win a game, I would go Flacco over Richardson, McCarthy, Rudolph, or Rattler. But again, if it turns into Sanders or Gabriel, I don't really know what to do there. But I'm gonna put Flacco 28, and then I would here's my break glass of a case of emergency. Next worst situation, the New York Giants, because while I do think Russ is more talented than maybe some other guys, and he had a very underrated productive year. It was a productive year in Pittsburgh. I think it's a toxic situation in New York. And what Russ versus Dart with Jameis Winston in that room is just toxic. So that's my worst of the worst, I guess, quarterback rooms. Because for some of these, I don't even know who's starting. I'm interested to hear what your reaction
Well,
is.
yeah, that is a curious situation. So we do have some difference here, which is good. Not a whole lot in terms of the names on the list, although there is one that is flipped, or that has entered the mix that you didn't mention. So yeah, we'll just dive right into it, and we'll see what you think. So for me, 32 is insert state's quarterback name here.
Right.
Whether it's Jake Hayner, whether it's Spencer Rattler, whether it's Shug, like one of those guys.
Forgot about Hayner.
Obviously, we just don't know enough. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We don't know enough about them. What we've seen of Spencer Rattler and Hayner hasn't been great. So there's just zero confidence going into that. But 31 for me is Anthony Richardson. I mean, he's completing passes at a 50% clip. He's making poor decisions. His talent in terms of running the football and the powerful arm, that's all there. But I don't know, man. I don't feel good rolling out in any NFL game with Anthony Richardson as my quarterback right now. And so if you're talking about like, oh, in terms of prospects, like if I was the Steelers with their situation right now, okay, yeah, I'd rather take Anthony Richardson just because the what if, you know. But if you're talking about just like, okay, going out and the goal is to win
Winning a
games,
game, yeah.
Anthony Richardson is like number 31 for me. Number 30 is JJ McCarthy, and that's because
Oh, we're right there. We both had him at 30.
Yeah, haven't seen the guy play at the NFL level, coming off of an injury. If this works out, I think it's going to be a lot more about Kevin McCarthy than it is about, or Kevin O'Connell than it is about JJ McCarthy. But there's just it's hard for me, and I know that you could say, okay, well, there's other rookie quarterbacks. Well, the Saints guys are already put at number 32. And I think I'd rather go with
Cam
Jackson
Ward.
Dart right now than JJ McCarthy,
Or Cam Ward. Hell yeah.
and certainly Cam Ward, who is not on this list.
No.
Because I would take him over these guys starting right now. Mason Rudolph comes in at 29 for me. He's a professional quarterback enough to where I would feel okay. Pittsburgh's probably the best spot for him because he can work within that system fine and get you wins. I mean, he's proven to be a winning quarterback with the team. Obviously doesn't inspire any confidence, but he's kind of like a late stage Joe Flacco at this point in his career. Capable backup, capable starter if you need him. 28 for me is Michael Penix. I didn't see enough that I liked from Michael Penix.
I love that you said that. I'll let you talk because but I want to, when we finish your list, I have some Penix thoughts.
Okay. Well, I certainly liked from the minimal like growth we saw and just the minimal snap counts we saw from him last year. So I think that there's a lot of promise there. But I thought the growth that Bryce Young showed, for instance, trumped what confidence I felt from the reps that I got from Michael Penix. So I would take Bryce Young over a Michael Penix right there. I think Joe Flacco is enough of a stabilizing force in a quarterback room, and that he's who I kind of expect to be at the helm for the Browns, at least to start. I would take him over Michael Penix if we're going into a game and the goal is to win it. I still would take him there. There's certainly a conversation to be had. This is not a flag planting situation for me, but those are my kind of my thought processes when I'm going through that. If we're talking Kenny Pickett, if we're talking to Shooter Sanders, then Penix I take over them clearly right now. But I just don't think that they're going to be starting quarterbacks, and that's why I kind of have that situation. I think they will start games this year, but I think Joe Flacco gets the nod to start things out.
So I'm Flacco was not great in Indy last year. He had that 2 years ago in Cleveland with Stefanski. It was a miracle run, and it was really impressive. And they went to him early, and it was not great in Indy last year. If you don't let yourself forget that. So
you're not wrong.
Yeah. That's why I went with Penix slightly over Flacco. It's just like youth and arm pop, especially in the underneath throws. So, but I want to say this. Now, I did put the Giants situation at my like break classification emergency if Aaron Rodgers, and then you got to get rid of the Steelers. But the next for me would have been Atlanta. And I know a lot of people are sitting there going like, oh, you're just a Penix hater and you're a Bears fan, so you're just trying to defend Caleb. No. He had 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions in 5 starts. I mean, what was there in the starts that you were like, oh, there's the flash? Even Drake May. Right. I saw some people putting Penix ahead of Drake May.
That's crazy.
Drake May is an explosive athlete. Like Penix is not an athlete.
He put the team on his back. He actually overcame the shortcomings.
Penix is more Stroud. McCarthy, May is more Herbert. Now, I think they're both the Aldi generic brands, right? I think Penix is the Fruit O's, as not
Great
Fruit
value.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, so we shop a lot at Aldi. So it's like, if CJ Stroud is Fruit Loops, Penix is Fruit O's. You know what I mean? And if Herbert is Frosted Flakes, I think that May is like icy polar
Crisps.
crunch or whatever it is. Yeah, and so it's the most niche reference I'm going to try to make here. But I think you get what I'm saying. I do think they both have ceilings still that are really high, but people who were sitting there going like, oh no, Penix and May and Caleb are the same, like all, Caleb 3-to-1 touchdown interception ratio, started all 17 games, already more experienced in what he dealt with. A vast, improvement of numbers compared to what he was dealt with 3 different offensive coordinators, coaches getting fired left and right. So, almost breaking the all-time sack record in a season because that offensive line was so bad. And May ran for more yards than Caleb, started 4 less games. So May's a real running threat. Like, he's a real running threat. Caleb, it looks like the type of guy who's going to run for he's got like Russell Wilson running. It's about 350 to 400 to 500 yards in a season with a touchdown or 2 or 3 touchdowns. May looks like Herbert numbers where it's like going to be 600 yards rushing and like 5 or 6 touchdowns if they use this athleticism the way that they will. And I think that the Patriots will certainly capitalize on that. Dan, the other names I had, like rounding out the 20s, would have been Atlanta, as I said, Carolina, the Jets, and Tennessee. Again, the Jets are the only team we know that are starting a rookie quarterback. And so as much as I like Cam Ward, I'm not putting Cam Ward over May. I'm not putting him over Caleb. I'm not putting him over Bo Nix. I feel pretty strongly about what I think those guys can become and / already are. Cam Ward is still a question mark, but I would take his question mark and tape over Rudolph, Richardson, Flacco, blah, 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 McCarthy, all those. And as far as that, I do think Justin Fields, again, 10 touchdowns total, 5 passing, 5 rushing in 10 game appearances with only 4 true starts. Over 1,000 yards passing last year for Justin, 60% completion, his highest in the NFL. I think we're sleeping on Justin a tiny bit. The problem is he's with the Jets. So I think the Steelers were a stable organization that allowed Justin to be himself. With the Bears, dysfunction. With the Jets, dysfunction. I worry about Justin going back to that dysfunction. Now, he's got Garrett
just running for his life and trying to make crazy plays happen. And,
that Jets offensive line is better than any Bears offensive line he really had. And that's not saying much. It's not a great offensive line. It's a solid offensive line. It's got some young talent, some star power, and he's got weapons. Breece Hall, he's got Garrett Wilson, his college go-to guy. So I'm not willing to put Justin Fields in the bottom 5, but certainly floating in that late 20s. So I think is there anything you disagree with on that, in that realm? Is there someone else I'm missing that you say, no, this person belongs near the bottom 5?
I can't think of a quarterback that I would say is like that you're putting Justin behind that isn't, worthy of it off the top of my head.
Yeah, like I have injury concerns with Tua.
Gino, but he's
productive
solid.
as hell. He's really productive.
Sam
Darnold, really productive. But that I will say, I think the next group of guys, if we were to keep going, that like 24 through 18, you're going to see a lot of Darnold, Gino, and then also you're going to see then the young guys, May, Caleb, Bo
I think
Nix.
Jordan Love would be somewhere in the mid to high teens.
So that's one of the funniest things. So I didn't want to seem like a hater, but if you go through, do the research yourself, folks. Search just like lists of top best quarterbacks in the NFL. Look at anything that's been written since the season ended. Jordan Love is all over the map because there's guys who believe in the pop.
Nobody knows what to do with them.
Because we have 3 different Jordan Loves. We have the first 8 games of his career, which were very shaky, and his coach calling him out in press conference. Then we have the last 8 games of his first year starter, where he was on fire and he dominated a playoff game and almost beat the Niners on the road. So for a terrible decision throw late in the game. And then you have last year, which is injury riddled and very inconsistent wide receiver play. Is that Love's fault? Is that the wide receiver's fault? I don't know. So yeah, Love is a classic guy we're avoiding. This is one of the fun reasons we're doing highest and lowest, because we avoid having to figure out, would you rather take Jordan Love or Kyler Murray? It's like,
right.
Neither? Can I take neither right now?
It's like it's a case of, pick your poison,
Which would be funny if next year's offseason we just do our list, maybe, or just meet me in the middle and we do 10 through 20.
Right? Yeah, just the mediocrity mountain.
Yeah, because you're just like, those are the guys who everyone's arguing over online. No one's arguing about Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, and Jackson. You're dumb if you are. You're dumb if you're saying those guys aren't top 5 guys. You're just dumb.
Yeah.
And no one's really arguing that Spencer Rattler shouldn't be in the bottom 5 or Anthony Richardson.
Right, right. Absolutely. No, yeah. You can understand that there's a conversation to be had, even if you don't agree with the exact placement of it. Whereas the middle gets a lot murkier, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm not sure what we're going to have for you next week, so that'll be a little bit of a surprise. Mark and I will talk offline here and figure that out, but definitely going to try and move forward with this series and bring another position to the table for you all, as well as, of course, any breaking news, new signings. We do have mandatory minicamp coming up soon. Aaron Rodgers still has not made his decision. Oh, there you go. All right. I didn't even realize that they started their stay. So yeah, very soon we're gonna get some news in here, and that things are gonna start ramping up big time. But that will do it for us here today. Appreciate everybody listening. Check us out at forfantasysakeqc.com, all the other great shows that we have here. But we will see you back here next week. And while we are the Football Lounge, I just want to say this as we sign off: extend Kyle Tucker. Do it now.
This has been a For Frequency's Sake Podcast Network production. For more great content, subscribe to For Frequency's Sake on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter.